Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
The poll question here is, should Pat McAfee be suspended for calling her a white B word? 61% saying no, and put me in the 61%. ESPN should not be surprised. And I feel sorry for Pat McAfee as much as you can feel sorry for a guy making $5 million a year. As much as I know, his show started around the same time as ours. It was 100% NFL. He used to drop F-bombs like crazy. And then he goes to ESPN, signs the big ticket, and now they're making him talk NHL. Making him talk WNBA because they are those leagues. And then he's got Indy 500 and Kentucky Derby, and they've made him put a shirt on, and he's completely changed. And there are those that say he's sold out. I don't. Take the money. Anybody would have done that. But to force him to change, I would kind of like to sit him down and just say, hey, Pat, are you having fun? Which, by the way, I've been around every day at Super Bowl. I was around him. That photo that's running at rodpedersen.com right now, I was on his set at Super Bowl. He's a good guy. He's a football player, not historically known for splitting atoms. Sorry. What did you think? What did you think you were getting? Okay, that's my take. Don't get mad at him. That's what you hired. Deal or no deal?
Deal. I don't think ESPN, I don't know if ESPN is mad at him or not. We've seen people from ESPN, analysts, writers, that pundits that have, been upset and say this is unacceptable. I watched the clip before I knew it was even going to become a thing. And I didn't really think twice about it. I thought it was okay. He used the term very lightly on purpose to make light of it, to say, hey, this is what's going on here. It wasn't derogatory. It wasn't a segment or even a comment against Caitlin Clark. And he apologized. Okay, even when I took it lightly, I shouldn't use that term, whatever. So he'll move on. But ESPN signing him to the deal should know that this is what you're expecting.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
This former producer of major market television shows writing into us anonymously to say he just found our show on Game Plus Television. Here's some tips. The show has ADD. It's all over the place. Your sound effects are annoying. And your host is arrogant. Right on all counts. But that's what we want. That's what we wanted it to be.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, I say all the time to that producer, come on back. I didn't want to trounce you so bad. Come on back and trash us some more. Welcome, everybody, to the RP Show, episode number 1259 of your favorite daytime sports talk show, coming to you from the beautiful Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And the Moose is in Toronto. We're ready to talk sports for the next 2. I've assembled what I think are some very entertaining topics for the next 2 hours. You've changed, Darren. What are you trying to do? You changed from what you were just... Did you spill coffee on your bunny hug you were wearing earlier, or what? Why would you change?
No, I didn't, but that was still... I hadn't quite finished getting dressed for the day. That was still my, my lounge wear. Let's call it that. Yeah, hoodie and shorts.
Okay. Yeah. Very big day today. Very big day today. In hour 1, we're joined by Grey Cup champion punter / quarterback and the current radio color commentator of the BC Lions, Julio Caravata, who I might add was the quarterback of the high school football team in Toronto, the former mayor, Rob Ford. He was Julio's center. Did you know that? How about that? Julio Caravata in hour 1. Yep. And in hour 2, Randy Ambrosie, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, the esteemed Randy Ambrosie, who I like. And I think he likes me. That's why he's coming on this program today, because guess what? The Canadian Football League season is kicking off on Thursday with Montreal at Winnipeg. So we got a lot to get to there. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan?
Right on.
Listen, the big story is the Stanley Cup, and we're going to spend the balance of the first segment or 2 on that. But the big story, I'll say this, on the Canadian sports networks, oddly enough, is this. Ryan Mountcastle hit a 3-run homer in Baltimore's 4-run third inning and later added a 2-run shot to power the visiting Baltimore Orioles to a 10-1 rout of the Toronto Blue Jays Tuesday night at Rogers Center. Connor Norby hit a 2-run homer, and Gunnar Henderson scored 3 times as Baltimore won for the 10th what's going on? People are flipping the lights on and off. For the 10th time in 12 games, Jays lost for the 3rd time in 4. Here's all I'm going to say about that. Have you watched SportsCenter? Have you watched Sportsnet Connected? They were leading off with the Blue Jays losing, and John Schneider, their skipper, kind of looked lost for words at the post-game news conference. So I was interested to get Mike Wilner on the show here yesterday, the longtime Jays talk host. And I'm like, well, isn't it fire everybody? Fire somebody. And he was like, well, what's that going to solve? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but we come from the hockey and football world where we're losing. Fire somebody. But it's going to ruin his career, and it's going to ruin his life. We don't care. Fire somebody. I guess they're saying that baseball doesn't work that way. So what do we expect next for this tire fire, Darren? That's the Toronto Blue Jays.
Good question. You think making a move, though, whether it's John Schneider, will help get everybody going? There's something wrong inside that clubhouse, I think, because you look up and down the team and pretty good roster on paper. There's a lot of players there that you're happy to have, that you'd like to see, that are underperforming. So if you're underperforming, where does the fault go? It goes to the players, and it goes to, the people that are in that clubhouse, the management. And John Schneider's at the top of that. He needs to get the most out of his players. We talked about good coaching yesterday, when it comes to the Stanley Cup. Who's the coach that can get the most out of your lineup and out of your players and get them in a position where they can perform at their best? It's not happening with the Blue Jays right now.
Dude, now you're really getting right into my wheelhouse, because last night I was talking to a long time hockey guy about all things sports at the ballpark here at Roswell's Park. He was in the stands, and we were talking about firing and basically what happened with Stuart Skinner with the Oilers. First 7 games, he was below average in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but survived it, but got pulled for 2, comes back, been a completely different goalie. And the guy goes, he got a wake-up call. Them sitting him for 2 games, pulling him, woke him up. I think the Blue Jays need to be woken up. And when you can't fire the entire roster, what do? Fire one coach. So my prediction today will be that be fired by the end of the month. There you go. From not necessarily the biggest baseball guy yet, but I'm getting there. Am I doing it right? We're brought to you in part, the warm-up, by the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Elevate your game at Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, where passion meets performance. Check us out at GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com. Point 2, tickets go on sale today for the 3 possible Stanley Cup playoff games in Edmonton. The Oilers begin Game 1 Saturday in Florida. Games 3, 4, and 5, if necessary. 3, 4, and if necessary, 6 will be in Edmonton. Tickets are already available on resale sites, but they're quite pricey. For Game 3 on June 13th, resale sites StubHub and SeatGeek have individual tickets on sale for about $1,300 and higher in the upper deck. Those that want to sit around the ends of the lower bowl in Edmonton should be prepared to pony up $2,000 to $3,000, with the ticket prices rising to more than $4,000 for the prime spots between the blue lines. I had a lady write me on social media, longtime friend of mine, used to work with her. She was like, Rod, what can you tell me about Vivid Seats? Is this a resale site, or is it the actual ticket price? I said, it's a secondary site, resale. And I said, well, are you thinking of going? And she's like, yeah, my son has always wanted to go. And I'm like, oh my God, that would be the day that my parents would take me to the Stanley Cup Final and spend $1,000. What? And she was like, maybe I'll go to Florida because it's the same price. And it's way nicer there than Edmonton. And I'm like, well, that's what I think. But I mean, this is out of control. It's out of control, bro. But it's not Super Bowl prices. Cheapest ticket was $10,000 at Super Bowl this year in Vegas. Like, I don't get it. And guess what? The stands are going to be full. So here we are. Thoughts?
Yeah, this is sports, and it's demand. And when your fan base is that big in Edmonton, the ticket prices go up, and it's going to be hard to get there. But, credit the team and the teams, I mean, just in sports in general, because they've done a good job at creating opportunity for fans that can't afford to go to the games. They've now created the viewing parties outside the arena, so you can go to that. They work with sports bars and restaurants to have the games, they're all on TV, so there's different ways that you can still enjoy the atmosphere, be around fans and all the rest. And I will say to Oiler fans, if you're complaining about not being in the building and it's not fair because the prices have gone up, look, I was bartending, part-time job, Canadian Brew House, back when the Jays 2015 were on their run and Jose Bautista hit the walk-off the home run with the bat flip, right? Being in that building, we blew the horn, did all the rest with all the fans. The atmosphere in that moment, in that building, felt like any arena I've ever been in, okay? And what I felt in that moment was just as good as being in the building, you know? So Don't let it ruin your Stanley Cup. Enjoy it in whichever way your price range lets you enjoy the cup.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing is if you can't afford it, get another job, whatever. Some people are going, so I'm certainly not sitting here complaining. And by the way, that rolls over into our next question because we're going to get into the actual nuts and bolts on the hockey talk in a second. But our poll question is this. Well, number one, you're going to hear a lot more from Jay about Jay Onrait on this show because I was watching whatever they call his show now on TSN, Jay Onrait, one half of Jay and Dan, because he said the Oilers have announced. And you got to know him, right? Not personally. You just have to have watched him for 20 years to get his warped sense of humor. Because he was like, the Oilers have announced that the watch party prices have gone from $5 to $20 to stand outside and watch the game. They're blaming inflation. That stupid look on his face. And I mean, I'm sure all the proceeds are going to go, who's flipping the lights on and off? Dude, the wind is gale force here, by the way. Gale force. It's the kind of wind that you can hear loud. Clark saying it's happening at the exact same thing there. The lights are going on and off in the Millennium Falcon. So just so you know, we're having weather. I thought I was going to get away from it in Florida. So, yeah, so Onrait said that, and then he had, this is the one thing I don't understand about the media. Here's the fun stuff. Serena said to me, my co-pilot in life and co-host of the Cats and Bolts podcast, she goes, yesterday I told you this, she goes, why can't it just be about the hockey? Well, it can't, so deal with it. They've got Brian Hayes on there, is that his name, from TSN Overdrive Radio? And he goes, I'm pulling for the Oilers because I want this, the drought to end in Canada. I'm like, I thought you weren't supposed to cheer as the media. I don't know, because when I was the voice of a team, I was getting it all the time. You're in the media. You're supposed to be unbiased. Like, why did I even give that a second note? Like, who cares if you're the media? Cheer. Clark said it this morning in our morning meeting. Cheer for whoever you want. As a media person. On the flip side, and I'll get to what Greg Cote, the Miami Herald, said about Connor McDavid in a second, but it just brings up the poll question for all of the fans. Who are you cheering for in the Stanley Cup Final? Now, on YouTube, our poll is simply Edmonton or Florida, but on Twitter, I threw a neither option in there. And here are the results. I posted the poll 30 minutes ago. 57% cheering for Edmonton, 22% cheering for Florida, and 21% cheering for neither. Because you and I have both talked to NHL people in the last 2 days that work for other teams, and they're not even necessarily watching. And by the way, I get that. We used to say in the CFL, if our team's not in the Grey Cup, I'm not going, probably not watching. So there is that option of neither. But the majority is pulling for the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup. I'm pulling for Florida. I don't think that's a shock. Have you gone on record yet in saying Edmonton? I feel like you did.
I think so. You know, I'm really torn because there's storylines on both sides. But I think I'm cheering for Edmonton. That's where I kind of get pulled the most.
Well, you got till Saturday to make up your mind. And by the way, you can't schedule feelings, so maybe you'll find out once the game starts how you feel. But I'm full on Florida. Don't hold it against me, Edmonton. For reasons, if you don't know by now, why are you watching this show? But so moving on to another thing. Right this morning, they were talking about Greg Cote of the Miami Herald calling Connor McDavid overrated. Now, listen, I'm a little surprised more people don't know who Greg Cote is. He's been the top sports columnist in Miami for 40 years, but his wheelhouse is mostly Dolphins and Marlins, clearly, because he said Connor McDavid's overrated. Now, here's another thing. I've gone to almost every home game for 3 years for the Panthers, and I've only seen Cote at one, and I think it was last year in the conference finals. Like, you notice that when the teams get this far in the playoffs, Tim Kalishaw shows up in Dallas, and you got Peter DeBoer dropping F-bombs at him, saying, where have you been all year? Here's Cote saying McDavid is overrated. Where have you been all year? Have you even watched a game? Like, it's ridiculous. But I'm sure the Panthers aren't real happy that there might have been some bulletin board material given here to the Oilers that McDavid is overrated, says Greg Cote, who kind of rode shotgun on the Dan Le Batard Show, which was on national television in America, the Dan Le Batard Show, every morning, and I think TSN carried it too. I don't know. All I'm saying is I know who Greg Cote is, and I know he doesn't go to the games and doesn't know a fiddler's fart about hockey. I'm got a point, Darren. I'm landing the plane, believe it or not. Do you think this will be a win it for Connor mentality? Because I don't really know today's player anymore. It's part of the reason why I got out of hockey full-time 2010, aside from a dispute with the owner. But I didn't like the entitlement of the players. I didn't like the attitude. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how they feel about Connor McDavid. He's the captain, and they seem to love him. But would this be enough bulletin board material to fire up the Oilers and say, let's win it for Connor? Because what I could not get my mind around was when I was calling the Regina Pats games, and I heard from the staff that there was a lot of jealousy around Jordan Eberle. He's getting all the fame. He's getting all everybody waiting for his autograph after. He's getting all this. And I'm like, what? Oh, yeah. There's guys on the team that don't like him because he's getting all the fame and the publicity. Oh, okay, well, he's also the guy that's on the ice an hour before everybody else and that stays out after everybody else and then goes home and shoots 500 pucks and then works out every friggin' day. That's the stuff you guys do. What? So it's changed. It's changed. So I just don't know if that would be enough motivation for the Oilers is my point. Do you think that would be a thing in their dressing room?
I think it could be. I think Connor himself, Leon are probably motivated quite a bit to get a cup and climb that mountain. Do I think the rest of the team is there? I mean, sure, they want to win one for Connor, but I don't think it's the same that we've seen in the past. Like, you know, look at Dallas, you know, maybe trying to win one for Joe Pavelski. But before that, you had players in San Jose and then in Toronto trying to win one for Joe Thornton. You know, a guy who's really gone through the career, played 1,000 games, all the rest, and you really feel good for the player. And you're like, you know what? He's really grinded. He's at the end. Let's win one. Win one for Ray Bourque, right? Those are the moments. I don't know that Connor's there yet. Like, I think Connor still has a lot of years in his career ahead of him. So I don't sit there thinking let's win one for Connor because he's not going to get another chance. I don't think we're quite there yet. I think Connor himself is motivated, but I don't know that this is the feel good. We got to win one for Connor yet.
Well, and by the way, this again, it's a weird time. You get this far to the conference finals, the Stanley Cup, and these were guys like Greg Cote and Tim Cowlishaw. These types come out of the woodwork, and it's like they don't speak for the Florida hockey media. Trust me. They sure as hell don't speak for the Florida Panthers, yet they have the profile because it's the Miami Herald. You know what I mean? But I will say this. I told you before we went here. I'm going on Fan 960 Calgary Thursday morning, Sports 1440 Edmonton Friday morning, TSN Radio Ottawa Thursday afternoon. Doing a lot of interviews to give a Florida perspective to talk actual hockey. And Cote's point, the only reason he said McDavid's overrated, not as a player, but as a mythical hockey god, because he hasn't won yet. And Onright pointed out the irony that you're representing Miami, where Dan Marino is the poster boy of that argument that he's never won. So, like, pipe down. But, yeah, hey, by the way, Greg Cote is not a bad guy. I rode an elevator with him. We chatted. He's a good guy. But don't. Remember that whoever that person was that said, Rod doesn't talk about things he doesn't know? Nope. Because I don't want to look like that. Ridiculed and scorned for talking about something that I have no idea about. When we come back, we'll continue the fun and frivolity, including the CFL kicking off tomorrow. More hockey, but we got some very interesting game notes for you. Oh, yeah. We'll be right back live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center here on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, and by the way, everybody, have you done it yet? Have you signed up for free for Landmark Extras at landmarkcinemas.com? If you do, it's a rewards program. The more movies you go to, the more free ones you get back, plus concession items and invites to special events. There's 3 programs to choose from. Darren and I both belong. So join us, landmarkcinemas.com. Let's please bring in the Moose. I know we have a lot of CFL fans tuned in today because nobody talks more CFL than us. But I just want to say one more thing, and I'll get your take on this Stanley Cup Final. It's a really weird matchup. We talked about the largest geographical distance ever in a Stanley Cup Final between the combatants. And again, back to what Brian Hayes said from TSN Radio. They're so condescending over there, but that's fine. I don't know if it's a Toronto thing or just him or a TSN thing. I'm not sure. But he was like, oh, yeah, it's the Oilers. And by the way, I'm seeing everybody talk about Oiler fans. There's nothing like them, and there isn't. They're special people. They don't abandon their team. And he talked about just not the fans in the arena, but the millions and millions of Oilers fans around the world. Versus, what did he say? There's 100 people in Florida at the preseason game. They've got only 2 beat reporters traveling with the team. It's laughable, the profile of the 2 teams. And in a way, it is 2 completely different worlds. Because the Oilers are like the Dallas Cowboys, or whatever you want to say, of the NHL.
in terms of following, and the Panthers are not. But that's no real reason to denigrate him, because as I'm watching it, I'm going, actually, the Panthers don't have 2 beat writers. I'm not sure they have 1. There certainly isn't any. There isn't. So, but why does that matter? Why do you got to belittle, I guess, is my point. Or am I getting am I becoming the Florida hockey fan that has a chip on my shoulder? And as Serena says, small man syndrome? Why do they got to do this?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Just anything to get an upper hand, to give you a reason to think you could win. You know, the hockey market's bigger, the hockey market's better. So as a default, we have a better chance of winning. You know, in reality, it has nothing to do with what's going to happen on the ice, but it gives fans an argument and a reason to have the upper hand for a few days leading up. That's all just the fun back and forth between fans that you need to stay out of. You know, and for the other one is, you know, for the fan bases like the Flames or, you know, Canucks fans that want Edmonton to lose. I know they're worried because you don't want to sit there and have Edmonton fans rubbing it in your face every year that they won the Stanley Cup in 2024. But at the end of the day, what really matters, yes, the history is important, but yesterday's yesterday. The only thing that matters is today. And today, Edmonton is a better team than Calgary. Edmonton's a better team than Vancouver. And if you're in those fan bases, you have to take it. You hope that next year you're better. But that's just sports. And so, you know, this is the moment we're in.
Yeah. There's a thing going around Florida about should Tampa fans cheer for Florida? And to be honest, a lot of Lightning fans are, because they want to see a Stanley Cup back to Florida. And they're proud of the fact that there's been a team from Florida in the last 5 Stanley Cup finals. Think about that. And you mentioned, it's funny you mentioned the Flames. We have spent so much time in Calgary the last 2 summers. There was a time a few years ago where it was a debate who was the better franchise, Calgary or Edmonton. Who was better? Calgary had been in the playoffs for a few years. Edmonton had been in the playoffs for a few. Now it's not even a debate. So when you talk about all that matters is today, that is true. I wear the bracelet that says one day at a time. But somebody better be examining why the Oilers went this way and the Flames went that way. Somebody better look that up, because that matters. That's big. That's big picture thinking right there, right? By the way, speaking of pro sports, the Saskatchewan Rattlers professional basketball team plays out of SaskTel Center, offering the best entertainment for all of Saskatchewan sports fans. Their season has started with leadership from their NBA experienced head coach, Larry Abney. And I'm telling you, he is sharper than the edge of town. They look to return to championship weekend in August. Get your tickets now by visiting Ticketmaster.ca or head on down to the Rattlers front office in downtown Saskatoon. So, what does this say? That I got the warm feels when my inbox got an email from the CFL with the game notes for the first game Thursday night. CFL game notes. I was like, ooh. So this morning, Darren, I clicked on it and started delving into it, and it was like trying to take a sip from a fire hose. Great stuff. And I haven't really seen a lot of this coverage anywhere. I've seen a ton of talk about Chad Kelly with the Argos. I don't care. I mean, I do, but I don't. Can we just stick to football? So what do you think about this? Winnipeg and Montreal meet Thursday night at whatever they're calling the stadium in Winnipeg now. They've met 6 times in season kickoffs, week 1. Winnipeg's never beaten Montreal. They've never beaten them. They're 0-6 in week 1 matchups, Alouettes and Blue Bombers. That's one. Number 2, this June 6th kickoff is the earliest in the history of the Canadian Football League. And did I mention we have the Commissioner, Randy Ambrosi, coming up in hour 2? I'm not sure I even mentioned that. Yeah, buddy. So it's the earliest kickoff ever. The oldest team in the CFL is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They're the oldest. I didn't need the stats. I know. But you might be interested to know that Hamilton is the youngest by like 0.1 of a year, and then Edmonton. But Winnipeg's the oldest, Hamilton's the youngest. And that was like in the first 2 paragraphs. So I got to delve into this. I just closed my laptop. I'm like, I can't. There's too much info here. That's exciting. That's what I love. That kind of, I think, doesn't everybody?
That's fun stuff, man. Really interesting about Winnipeg and Montreal. But I imagine those 6 games were all Anthony Calvillo at the helm, or pretty close to it, or a lot of them were. You know, and you don't always play the same teams on your week 1 games. Yeah, you're right. This is very early, too, for a CFL season. We're used to, like, not that long ago, we had the Canada Day kickoff, right? Which was also kind of cool. But the game notes are fun, man. And even you reading that for a few seconds has me a little more excited for Thursday night.
Yeah, just whatever. Some people get it, some don't. We were talking CFL yesterday, and Mandy in Edmonton was watching, and in the middle of the end of the show, she's like, that's it. I'm going to buy tickets to the game. It ain't rocket science. The more pub, the more hype, blah, 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 blah. Meantime, one of my inbox is crammed. I mean, thank God for the CFL sending me this stuff, because I'm getting other stuff like Angel Reese got a technical in a game. I don't care, but they're putting it in front of me. So I'm going to read it like a horse at the trough. Point 5. How about this? A goal by Lisbeth Ovalle in the 70th minute allowed Mexico to earn a 1-1 draw with Canada's women's national soccer team in a friendly at BMO Field in Toronto. The RP show had a reporter there. His name is Darren DuPont. So what's your report on the Canada-Mexico friendly 1-1 tie last night? Do you call it a tie in soccer? Yeah. I don't know.
Friendly last night, really a tune-up ahead of the Olympic Games in Paris in July. Tell you this, it was really a tale of two halves. And as you would expect in a friendly and a tune-up game, just like in football and hockey preseason, a lot of roster changes, a lot of substitutions during the game. Canada, really good in the first half, and then eventually made it 1-0. They could have made it 2 or 3. They were really good. And then they were really bad in the second half, like really bad in the second half. So there's going to be some roster decisions they'll make, I'm sure, and things that will come out of it. But what a fun night to go to BMO and be at the, at the stadium for the game. It was a great atmosphere. There was 19,000 people there, for this friendly. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Cool. So there's your soccer coverage. It's interesting, the narrative. As I'm watching TSN for an hour, it's all Stanley Cup playoffs and Dave Naylor talking about Chad Kelly and Blue Jays. I flip over to Sportsnet, it's Blue Jays, soccer, and then some Stanley Cup Final. Just depends on the network you watch. So we try to be as much new wave as we can on this show, but my main thing is hockey and football, as you all know. And then getting into baseball here tonight as I broadcast the Moose Jaw Millers beating the Saskatoon Berries last night, 5-4, and that was a lot of fun too. But I'm reading a few things here, and some people, we can't be friends. John Ohm isn't one of them. He's a huge friend of ours. He says Winnipeg Stadium, Princess Auto Stadium. He says earliest kickoff ever, so why are we not having the Grey Cup in October? The bye weeks? Listen, I don't know, Brad. I didn't write the game notes. It's the earliest kickoff ever, but it's tied with 2 other years for the same October 26th last year, the regular season. It has to be bye weeks. Wayne in Victoria, BC says the CFL is heading in the right direction as far as season start dates go. Travis writes in, he says the CFL either needs to get a 10th team now or go down to 8 teams, which I know won't happen, but they got to stop with these bye weeks or else just have 1 each. I don't know where we land on that. Bomber Boy writes in on the text line 902-518-3033. Bomber Boy says, hey, Rod, can you ask the commissioner if the live stats will be working this season?
Spicy.
Yeah, probably not. Not going to do that. Hey, Rod, let's talk about the biggest pain in your ass, the biggest problem in your life that really you did not cause. Let's talk about that. I'd rather not. I was talking to a CFL stakeholder. How about that? Last week. And they said with the stats thing, you got to feel bad for Commissioner Ambrosi. He trusted blankety blank with this in the CFL office. And I've had the chats with Randy. He's not a PR guy. He's not he's a business guy and a football guy. Stats, not his thing. So he trusted somebody to do it. And here we are. So I get it, Bomber Boy. Do you think I should ask him, Darren? Because from what I've seen, it's not fixed. I don't know.
No, it's not. And that's not really what, It's about today. And that's a big part of it, though. Big part of the season, a big part of the league. But no, I'm with you. I'm not asking him if I'm in your shoes.
John Ohm. Hi, Rod. Ask Ambrosi the hard question, bro. Is that where we are? Is that the biggest problem facing the CFL right now, is whether you're going to get your statistical webpage working? Is that the biggest? You don't ask the hard questions. You didn't ask about the stats. There's a difference, man, between one that they don't want to answer and the hard question. You know, like I'm debating whether to ask him if Chad Kelly's suspension is going to be lifted because the lawsuit's been settled and he's going to mandatory counseling. That one's iffy. Jeff in Yorkton says, you should ask him what the plan is to correct it. I may or I may not. That might be a good poll question. Should Rod ask the commissioner if the stats will be working? I know that Julio Caravata in BC has some thoughts on the stats, and I may or may not get into that with him because he got a talking to over his position on the stats. It's a touchy subject. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2, okay?
Okay, I'll see you then.
We will be back with the great Julio Caravata, Rob Ford's high school quarterback of the BC Lions, when we return here on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch. Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown. Some girls don't like boys like me. With Shenandoah. You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road. Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center. I'll take the dirt road. Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. 6 days on the road and I'm Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Broadcasting the RP Show live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center. It's a beautiful facility. Elevate your game at Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, where passion meets performance. Check us out at goldenticketsportscenter.com. It's a busy night in sports. We'll get to that in a moment, but let's bring in Julio Caravata now, the color-voiced and Grey Cup champion of the BC Lions. Jules, you're opening at home in week one. You're going home. You must be pretty happy. Lions at Argos on Sunday.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Roddy. I'm happy. I get to see Mama early in the season. It's usually not to the fall till I get a chance to see her. So I'm super excited about seeing my family. It's been a while. So Mama's going to have a nice little home-cooked meal for me and probably a nice little goodie bag for me to take home on the plane.
Of course. Hey, it's the Braley Bowl, but let me ask you this. Is there a restaurant that's a must, you can't miss it when you go home to Toronto, or you just let your mom do all the cooking for the whole time?
Yeah, no, I if I'm being completely honest, I don't go to a restaurant when I'm at home. I go, my mom's basement is still the best. Even though it's, even every time I go down the stairs, Roddy, and I step into 1970, because nothing's changed. Same plates, same forks, same knives, same glasses. But it's still the best food you can find in Toronto, in my opinion.
No doubt. Okay, so I don't know, the power rankings are fun. The odds are fun. North Star Bets has Winnipeg #1, and I think they got Toronto, BC tied for the odds to come out. How do you feel about the front runners in the CFL right now? Most are saying it's Winnipeg. You okay with that, or do you want to say it's the Lions out of the gate?
You know what, Roddy? Until someone knocks off Winnipeg, then I still believe that they're the best team right now. Clearly there's been some changes, and they've lost some people, and it's going to be interesting to see how the teams in the West and the teams across CFL are, how they've gotten better. There's no question that the Western Division's much better if you just look simply across the board at the quarterbacks, right? You need a quarterback to win, and so I think every team, in Saskatchewan with Trevor Harris, if he stays healthy, he's as good as any quarterback in the Canadian Football League. I know he's getting a little bit older, but still, he knows where to go with the ball. He always gets rid of it quickly. So if he stays healthy, they're going to be better. McLeod Bethel-Thompson in Edmonton instantaneously makes them better. I love the idea too of them with Trey Ford, him and Trey Ford kind of using Ford as a guy come in with different packages and really kind of change up the game because of his ability to run around. The Lions are, I think they're going to be right there. They've been close. They've been knocking on the door. It's going to be interesting to see if they can get over the hump. So right across the board, I think, all these teams all share the same hope, right? That they brought in the right pieces to put them over the hump and make them better. As far as the other side, I think, Toronto's obviously losing Chad Kelly is going to hurt. They're still a good football team, but he was their MVP, right? He's their most outstanding player. So when you lose a guy like that, it's going to hurt. I think Ottawa's going to be hopefully a little bit better. I think Hamilton got better. Montreal's the defending Grey Cup champions, right? You got to give them their respect. So I'm looking forward to a real competitive year. I think it should be, if everyone stays healthy, it should be a good year.
Guy, what was your first year with the Lions as a player?
1991.
Okay, so your career in BC literally looks like a Rocky Mountain range. You've seen the rise,
yes.
The fall, the rise, the fall, now the rise.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So this Amar Doman, did he follow the Bobby Eccles blueprint, or how do you feel about or is it all, like Amar's getting all the credit? Should he?
Well, he deserves a lot of credit. Well, he deserves a lot of credit, right? Like when Amar took over the team, he made, he came out right away and said that he wanted to, he wanted to put money into the team, and he wanted to get back to the grassroots. He wanted to get back in the community. He wanted to get the kids in the stadium, and he's done that. He's put his money where his mouth is, plain and simple. He's brought a real great energy to the game, to the games with the block parties before, bringing in guests or the musical acts that he does to open up the year. Now it's every year now everyone waits to see who he's going to bring in next. And, I'm sure that, 50 Cent's going to open up the home opener. They've sold it out. I'd be shocked if it's not sold out. So, you're getting that young crowd back into the games. And, I just know through my experience and my friends who bring their kids, and all of a sudden they're going down to the block party and, buying drinks for $5, buying a burger for $5, getting a ticket for $25. I had a friend of mine say, I went down there, brought my kids, and it cost me $150, like for taking your kids out and getting a great entertainment value package, the whole kit and caboodle, off the field and on the field. So the ability to not only be able to come up with the great ideas in the community, in the business world, getting those people involved, but combining it with the performance on the field, right? Because that's the key. When you get people in the stadium, you got to keep them there. And so for the Lions, and since Amar's taken over, that's what they've been able to capitalize. They've got a good football team. They're entertaining. You come out, you're going to get your money's worth.
A fan wrote in here the other day and said, could the Lions take away the title of flagship team of the CFL? I think we all agree it's Winnipeg right now. And I said, and not unless they win a Grey Cup. Like, that kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah, really it does, Roddy. That's, championships are what we're judged on and what teams are judged on, right? So, for the Lions, as I said, they've been knocking on the door. And they needed to find a way to get over the hump. And there are some of their additions this year. It's going to be interesting to see, how they have transformed themselves. Obviously, getting William Stanback was a big get for them, right? They needed to be better in the running game, take some pressure off of Vernon Adams, and they've done that. They needed to get bigger on the defensive line because they felt that they were giving up the run too easily. So, getting Christian Covington, who's had a very, you look at his NFL resume, this kid is a very good football player. He's going to solve some problems inside. Getting Pete Robertson from the Riders, I think, is going to help them. So, it's, they've made some good acquisitions. Now they're going to need some of these young guys that are going to be, on this football team to, hopefully take that next step and be big contributors. Just a football person question here. How's Jake Dolegala looked? He's your number 2, right, coming out of camp?
Yeah. I always, the thing about quarterbacks, Roddy, is that, a lot of times I don't think people realize how difficult it is for some of these guys to come from the American game and playing, American rules their entire life and come up here and be expected to kind of, light it up. Now, some do. But others, it takes a little while to kind of get used to the game, and the game slows down a little bit for you. I think Jake, had a very good training camp. I know he let a couple of balls get away from him in the last preseason game that were intercepted. But what I look at too is not only about, I look at the decision making, right? Like, where he was going with the football was where he should have been going, as opposed to trying to force a ball into where it shouldn't be going. And he overthrew a couple of balls and they ended up getting picked off. But overall, I think he feels more and more comfortable with this offense. It's a little bit different than what he's used to. And he's, he seems to be, progressing nicely. And we'll see how that evolves during the season, as far as, when they use him or if they're going to have to use him.
A wonderful CFL chat morning, Thomas. How you doing? Did you know I'm calling minor league baseball this year? I'm in the training facility. All the ball players are coming in. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Right, it's so good. Yeah.
You know that I love baseball now, right? You know my history with baseball. Yeah.
Well, you're
So
an all-around
I love
athlete.
baseball.
You're an all-around
You
athlete.
remember
That's what you
I was
are.
on the Blue Jays ground crew. You remember that? Remember that?
Oh, I didn't. Oh, God. Well, I
was on
wish
the
we
Toronto
could.
Blue
We're
Jays
on a,
ground crew.
what years?
1981 to 85. I was there when they won the American League East Championship in 85.
What's your favorite sport? Is that your number one sport?
Yeah. If I'm being totally honest.
Wow.
Yeah, I love baseball.
Well, that's what we do.
There's something magical about baseball. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love football, but baseball to me is right there.
Oh, I know. Hey, I go to the stadium. I'm there longer than we were ever there for football. And it feels like we're there an hour. We're there for like 6-7 hours. I'm like, what? Yeah. It's so fun. Okay. Safe travels, buddy. Say hey to your mama for me.
All right, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. It's nice to see you.
Great to see you, pal. Julio Caravata, Grey Cup champion and longtime broadcaster with the BC Lions. We'll be back with a sports update and viewer takeover right after this. We're live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
This former producer of major market television shows writing into us anonymously to say he just found our show on Game Plus Television. Here's some tips. The show has ADD. It's all over the place. Your sound effects are annoying. And your host is arrogant. Right on all counts. But that's what we want. That's what we wanted it to be.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into Hour 2 of the RP Show. We're coming at you live on the Game Plus Television Network here at the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, where we've got baseball tonight, and we've also got 75K wins. And Moose is in Toronto, where I think he's getting weather over there, too. Hey, what's the Toronto sports and weather report, Moose, as we get ready for a real fun hour of sports talk, which includes the commissioner of the Canadian Football League coming up next segment. What's up? What do you got?
It was sunny and 30 degrees yesterday for the game, but it looks cloudy and a little foggy. I can't see into downtown. Not too windy, though. No windy, just some construction happening outside.
That was the Mexico-Canada friendly Moose was at last night at BMO Field. Anyways, to catch everybody up on where we're at, Blue Jays got thumped last night, 10-1 by Baltimore. I'm calling for a firing, but people tell me we don't do that in baseball, Rod. Okay. I don't get it. Point two, Stanley Cup Final tickets, they're going for as much as $4,000 in Edmonton, $2,000 in Florida. I just don't get it. But it's the way sports is now, and that's a bargain compared to the Super Bowl. As weird as that is. The poll has just popped up in front of my face. It is, who are you cheering for in the Stanley Cup? For me, it's a Florida, but 71% are saying the Edmonton Oilers. It doesn't surprise me. We're on national television in Canada, Game Plus TV, on the radio in Atlanta. We're Atlanta's NHL show. I'd be interested to know who they're cheering for in Atlanta, but my guess is it's Florida. Hey, Ryan O'Radio. Who are you guys cheering for down there in Atlanta? It's got to be Florida, I would think, Darren. And do you mind if I just get to a couple questions from the audience here before we jump into everything else? Landon writes that he says, can you ask the commissioner about the prospect of an expansion team? No. He says it seems Atlantic is dead, but what about Victoria? And it's the commissioner. I don't have time to talk about frivolous what-ifs, silly things that aren't going to happen. I'm sorry. Paul in Humboldt says, I'm giving the ownership checkmark to the Florida Panthers. Vincent Viola is a veteran of Army Special Forces, successful businessman and sportsman. He is the American dream come to life. Yes. Daryl Cates' dad's from PA. Just so you know, they started the Rexall pharmacy chain. They're no slouches either. I get what he's saying, but I think you don't hand out the check mark on this until after the series, because it's not going to determine whether the series is won or not, who the owners are. It's not. I would give it to Viola, too, but we've talked about him on this show. West Point guy, Army guy, as are the top people in the Florida organization. So there's that. Robert Campbell checking in from Vegas. He says, a toasty 106 in Vegas today, 109 Fahrenheit tomorrow. I wish I was in Canada for the summer. Have a great call tonight, Rod. Thank you, Robert. You would think that you do, but it's 75K wind here today. It's like 50 mile an hour, and it's rainy, and I'm not bitching. But the other night at the ballpark, somebody said, do you get rain like this in Florida? Oh, we do, bro. Plus 150 mile an hour wind. It all comes together, and it causes $50 billion in damage, and 130 people die, and then we rebuild until the next one. A few years. Yes, it's the weather patterns are quite different. Have you decided yet who you're cheering for in the Stanley Cup? I know I gave you till Saturday, and you're undecided, but did you just decided in the last 20 minutes or not?
I think it's still Edmonton. I'm pulled more to Edmonton than I am to Florida right now. But you said we can't schedule feelings, so that might change come Saturday. But no, Edmonton, I've cast my vote.
Was cool. Hopefully we can not get upset about this. I mean, this is supposed to be fun. It's sports. It's not life or death. I get reminded about that every single day. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you something that I did not tell you privately, and I haven't said this on the air yet either. So every single night, let me back up. I'm getting significant pressure to get to Florida for Stanley Cup playoff games down there, and maybe even in Edmonton. And I'm like, I'm definitely not going to Florida. I might go to Edmonton. My commitment is here to broadcast baseball in Moose Jaw, and I'm loving it. They treat me great. Every single day that I get to Roswell's Park to broadcast the games, Darren, I know this might surprise some, won't surprise others. The headset's laid out. All the broadcast gear's laid out. The press box is spick and span. The windows are open and I'm ready to go. And the guy that's in charge of that is a guy by the name of Corey Shada. So I said to him, Corey, why do you do that? I bought him a gift card from Wendy's, by the way, just as a thank you for lining everything up, because I've never had that happen before. And I said, why do you do that? He goes, well, I'm a military guy and we look after the details. I just want it all set up for you every day the same way so you know what to expect when you come in here. Said no one ever. And then we got into my work with the military in the mental health and addiction recovery world. And I said, you guys are all about details. You don't overlook anything. And you help each other out. And he goes, because when you overlook a detail in our world, you don't get a second chance. Vis-a-vis somebody dies. I was trying to remember off the top of my head, why did this come up the other day? And this is what it was. So the point is, Army, service, first responders, that's life and death. Sports is not. Can we all just remind each other of that? When we are going to see people going off here. Like this, we're not going to have the Vancouver, Edmonton fights and people lying bloody in the streets. But I feel like people are going to get upset over the next couple of weeks, don't you? Because that's what happens in sports series.
100%. They're going to absolutely get upset. There's going to be highs. There's going to be lows. Look at it in all these series. Like at one point in that Edmonton-Dallas series, Oiler fans were done. They were done. The season was over. When they lost one game, they were down 2-1 in the series. It was over. You know, that's going to happen. You're going to have lows. You're going to think it's done. You're going to pack in. You're going to start planning your summer, and then it's going to change. And you're going to have high highs. Just ride it and try not to go too far extreme either way.
People are writing in with their questions for the commissioner. He's coming up in the next segment, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Randy Ambrosie, whom I'm a big fan of. He knows that, and I'm not lying because I don't lie. Randy Ambrosie in the next segment. John in Edmonton says, question for the commissioner. What are their thoughts on the Elks and their money problems? Wayne in BC says, can you ask him if they will permanently move the season to start early June and try to have the Grey Cup in October? John in Edmonton also says, Rod, people are complaining about the Oilers' indoor viewing party for Saturday and Monday's away games. They used to be $5. Now they're $20. Here's what I say. Stay home then. Problem solved. I don't have a lot of time for complaining. Stay home then. Stop bitching. Listen, there's a hell of a lot more to worry about than that. I don't want to go too far down the political road, but I was telling you, okay, a couple things. The fun stuff from last hour. Greg Cote, the Miami Herald. He's a vaunted, the most well-known Florida columnist probably. Doesn't know anything about hockey. Said that Connor McDavid's overrated, and it's got everybody going off. So I've seen him at one game the last 3 years. I kind of think it's important that you go. If you're going to have hot takes, you should probably be in the building and at least watch the damn games. But anyways, Serena and I have been texting because she's hosting the Cats and Bolts podcast today, and that's our other show, awarded Florida's fastest growing podcast. And she's got Bill Lindsay on there today with her, the Panthers radio guy and franchise great player. And she goes, that's Cote just trying to make a splash. She's trying to be relevant, saying that. And I'm like, you're not fooling anybody. I don't think you're fooling anybody. Do you think this guy knows hockey? You don't even know who he is. Nobody knows who he is. Outside Miami, I've realized. Should Edmonton be offended, or the Oilers specifically, that he says McDavid's overrated? To me, it's just a pshaw. Who cares? But maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before.
Yeah, it should be. It should be a who cares, because we know where McDavid's place is in the game. But I read the quote and I saw it, and it was, he's got the nicknames McJesus, the chosen one, all the rest, but he's never led his team to a Stanley Cup Final. So do the stats really matter if he doesn't win a championship? And, I don't know that we need to have that conversation. We know where McDavid's place in, just championship or no championship. We know where McDavid sits in the game of hockey. Championship will cement that legacy and really put him up there with Wayne Gretzky. That'll be the ultimate separator, but that's the conversation here.
Well, so Serena said to me, my co-pilot in life texted me this morning, and she said, they're just trying to be relevant as Florida hockey media. And I said, you and I are the Florida hockey media. It's not a large group. Right? I mean, I was interviewed for the Epoch Times yesterday, which, by the way, is a take right wing and go right of that. That's the Epoch Times. And they interviewed me to talk about the Stanley Cup. So, hey, I'll do an interview with anybody, pretty much. So I did the interview. They sent me the link. I go to put it on Facebook today. This is how long I've been out of Canada. I get a message from Facebook. You're not allowed to post news sources to Facebook in Canada. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I heard about this. I'm sorry. Where do we live again? And then I see this thing today about Trudeau putting a gag order on carbon tax details, hidden stuff. I'm like, oh, my God, it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. And this is not a political story. But believe it or not, I know I'm going all squirrel on you, and it is 11:11 Mountain and 1:11 Eastern. But you're saying Cote said that McDavid's never won a championship, therefore he's not the chosen one, he's not worthy of the name McJesus, blah, 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 blah. Coming from the guy in Miami that's covered the Dolphins forever, that's never won since 1972, and Dan Marino sure as the hell hasn't, and the Panthers never have. And does that really matter? Talk about Theoren Fleury, loop in Trudeau. And as I've said to Theo, if you weren't so out there, you might have more people believe. But militant almost is the way to say it for Theo. I'm like, if you could just soften your approach a little bit, you might have more people get in line. And we talk about him being in the Hall of Fame. It really bothers him that he's not in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And God knows he should be. So this is back to, are you great or are you not? Do you need to win? He's not in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's got his Stanley Cup. He's got his Olympic gold. And I actually didn't think he'd won a World Junior gold, but we were sitting in his office in his house talking about the punch-up at Pia Stanley. And he goes, yeah, we went back the next year and won. Nobody ever remembers that. Remember the night they turned all the lights off and there's a brawl? You weren't even born yet. But the point is, he's won World Juniors, a Stanley Cup, an Olympic gold medal. He's won the world. He's literally won everything there is to win, plus 1,000 games, 1,000 points. But he's not in, for whatever reason, I don't really know. I'm like, Theo, would you rather have all that or be Marcel Dion and really have none of it, but be in the Hall of Fame? Or Eric Lindros, or Pierre Turgeon? What would you rather have, Darren? And he doesn't agree with me. But I'm like, I would take your career over theirs.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think a lot of players would take the Stanley Cup over the Hall of Fame. I think the Stanley Cup is so
every single one.
Yeah, I think so too. So, I would take that career over the Hall of Fame. Although when you've had the career, you'd think the Hall of Fame would come with it, and that will bother you. But yeah, I don't envy the spot that Theo's in, because what do? You try and say, you can't
you don't worry
let
about
it bother you because you can't control it. But it does.
You get over it. Jen, and by the way, easy to say, not so easy to do. I made the comment yesterday on this program about the riders being dysfunctional. You saw the reaction to that. It didn't go over well with some people, but I'm like, that's not a grudge. The record is what it is. And they have the chance. That's what's exciting about the season kicking off, and this is a wonderful segue into our CFL talk. The Riders were at Edmonton on Saturday. The CFL and the Elks wisely moved the game up 3 hours to avoid Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. The game notes came into my inbox from the CFL, and I just got this warm feeling sitting there reading the game notes. I.e., as we talked about last hour, Winnipeg has never beaten Montreal in Week 1 in a season opener. Never. 0-6 against Montreal, and they meet at the Toolbox Thursday night. Winnipeg's the oldest team in the CFL. Hamilton's the youngest. This is the youngest kickoff, earliest kickoff in the history of CFL, June 6th. Will that continue? These are all things we'll get into with the commissioner. I'll see you a little later, Moose.
Okay, sounds good.
The commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Randy Ambrosie, will join us next. We are live on the Game Plus television network. WQEE Radio, your southern home of sports and talk, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, we're broadcasting live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw, where passion meets performance. Check them out at goldenticketsportscenter.com. A lot of questions have come in on the Silver Carpenter text line 902-518-3033 for the Commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Randy Ambrosi, who joins us, I can only imagine, from the CFL head office. And Mr. Commissioner, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Oh, it looks like you're in a hotel. Where are you at, Randy?
I'm in Vancouver. We just, as you might have noticed, Rod, we had some news this week that I was in Vancouver to share. So I'm working on my Jonas Brothers playlist right now, and I'm heading
sure.
up. And by the way, I saw you move that Tim Hortons cup. You got to bring that cup back on stream. That's yeah. There you go.
How about
I'd be more than happy to bring. I'm funding I'm putting Tim Hortons' great grandkids through college this summer.
That's
here, all
good.
the Tim Hortons that I'm having. Hey, you can borrow my Jonas Brothers playlist if you want. Before we get to all that, a little birdie told me the birdie's name might be Leo. That you went into the Gridiron Greats Hall of Fame was that last weekend?
No, I'm actually heading to Chicago Friday afternoon, and there's the induction dinner on Friday night. I guess Mike Singletary and Steve Largent are two going in, and I'm going into the class of 2024 with them.
Unbelievable. Seahawks and Bears, great. So listen, okay, not shockingly, Leo and I would get our wires crossed, but for those that don't know, this is Mike Ditka's Gridiron Greats. It's for pro football alumni that have done great things for the game post-career. And you would fall into that category. So I have not talked to you since. Congratulations on that. Jim Hobson's gone in. Leo's gone in. George Reed's gone in. You could give the list of the CFL guy. This is a really big deal, Randy. To be honest, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. How fired up, we'll talk about your league, but for this induction.
Yeah, look, when I was called, I have to say, it took me back. And you go through that list of names, and, let's start with George Reed. It's almost hard to imagine yourself being mentioned in the same name as George. And seriously, that's not overstating the point. He was George Reed, for goodness sakes. And to be mentioned alongside him in anything is quite something. Then I spoke to Scott Banda, CFL board chair, and I said, Scott, I've been nominated for this, and Scott was just so overwhelmingly supportive. And then Scott told the board, and I got significant support from the board. A lot of accolades from them. I'm so excited. And as I said, going to be heading down to Chicago Friday afternoon for the dinner, and I imagine it's going to be quite special. And yeah, Rod, honestly, if it's one of those things where you just kind of pinch yourself and say, "Wow, what an amazing life I am living."
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. And again, for our viewers that didn't know, it's a Hall of Fame for pro football alumni that have done great things for the game post-career. And the list of NFL greats in there is amazing, too. So congrats, Randy. But I know your mind is on the present and the CFL and this kickoff week. And so, number one, earliest Grey Cup halftime announcement in the history, in the calendar, the earliest. That was obviously important to you guys with the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah, it really was. The music industry has changed, Rod, dramatically, in fact. And, securing talent has become harder and more expensive. We had a working group of Mar Doman, Dwayne Vanneau, Greg Dick, and I, and this was one of the things that we talked with Universal Music about going back to late 2023. we wanted to get this done sooner. Amar's got a phenomenal playlist. He was really a driving force. Amar's also got a great, he's got a lot of great intuition about, what would work in the market. And he wants to bring a younger audience into the CFL family. So selecting the right bunch. I knew we got it right when my daughters texted me within minutes of the announcement, and we're just so excited that we were bringing the Jonas Brothers to Grey Cup. So yeah, it's a really good choice for us. It's definitely a great choice for this Grey Cup. And of course, there's a lot of great things going on here around the Lions in a lot of different areas. So quite an exciting week for us.
Well, yeah, so that for the kickoff this week, the Lions are on the road in the Brayley Bowl Sunday at Toronto. I will always call it the Brayley Bowl. I'm sorry. But with Amar, if that isn't a case study in local ownership and the importance of what it means. And you did it in Montreal with the Alouettes, man. We can go back with that. And they won a Grey Cup the first year under new ownership, which is Quebecor. But this is pretty cool, man. Like, not everybody could do it, maybe. I don't know. I guess maybe when you're looking at the Edmonton sale, local ownership would be prioritized. Amar just seems like the poster boy for the owner you'd want.
Well, he is definitely, his level of commitment is, well, it's unmistakable. That's first start there. I was with him on Monday morning ahead of the announcement that we did together. And he was telling me Sunday night he was coaching football. Now, I'm going to tell you, Amar's a pretty busy guy. Like, he is a seriously busy guy, and he's got a huge, business empire that he runs. But he loves it so much, and he's such a family guy. And, he was coaching his son's football team, and you just got to love being around him. And there is an infectious enthusiasm here. Then that doesn't even begin to talk about Dwayne Vanneau and the tireless effort that he's making. It's a very special place in our league right now. And of course, not just Grey Cup 2024, but Touchdown Pacific in Victoria. These are, I think it's going to be one of the most remarkable seasons in CFL history.
I'm getting that sense. People are getting fired up, and it kicks off Thursday. Montreal at Winnipeg, Grey Cup rematch. I've been reading the game notes. Winnipeg has never beaten Montreal in a week one. They're 0-6 week one against the Alouettes. So I just love reading the game notes. But we have a lot of Edmonton viewers, and they wanted me to ask you a few questions. And hey, I'm going to put it on them. The media always wants to ask you the negative stuff. I'll word this nicely. Elks ownership. How concerned are you on the state of the Elks financially and moving forward as you're looking for looking for an owner?
Well, I'm probably going to flip it, Rod, in that what I am is looking to this process they're going through, which is very positive, and they've got some great names involved in the process. I'm convinced, big shout out to Rick Lawlisher and his special committee. I'm convinced that they are going to land a great ownership group, and it's going to take that amazing franchise and bring it to new heights of success.
Well, what's interesting about that, silly me, maybe I'm wrong, but the sense in the CFL amongst the stakeholders that you found Quebecor. And you oversaw and found Amar Doman. So do you get last say on this? Do you veto it? Or are you not even involved? If you can say, how does that work?
No. Well, first of all, Amar Doman, David Brayley had been talking to Amar. Amar showed a great amount of patience because he knew it was going to be very difficult for Mr. Brayley to ultimately make that decision. And then, Rick Lawlisher was very involved in that transaction in Quebec, or that was a real team effort. But really the shout out there goes to Pierre-Carl Palado, who called me when we announced that we had bought the team and would be putting it up for sale. And I, I'll never forget that call because Pierre-Carl said, Randy, I understand you're going to run a process, but I want to be the one to buy the team. And the way he and his colleagues handled that transaction so professionally, so thoughtfully. So we were very lucky there. Look, I'm being briefed literally twice weekly by the Elks, by Rick. We are not involved in the day-to-day process, but we are walking alongside of that process as a league. And we've shared with Rick and the special committee kind of what our requirements will be once we get to that stage from a due diligence point of view, and what process we would run. Because ultimately, the way our constitution works is that the commissioner has to make a recommendation to the Board of Governors for an ownership change. So we are walking alongside. As I said, Rod, you don't want to be overconfident, but I'm pretty confident that we're on the right track. And it's Edmonton, and it's that franchise, which is perhaps one of the most storied in our league's history. And it's such a great sports city, and that team has had such a big place in the community. I feel very good about it.
Yeah, I know what that franchise means to you. You and I talked about it in the parking lot of Commonwealth Stadium before a game there a couple of years ago. So I know that you don't want to see this screwed up. But I also know good leaders are basically the head of the complaints department. And I think you know how close Jim Hobson and I are. So I just want you to know, while everybody's complaining, you're getting a lot of bouquets from a lot of people over these very key transactions for ownership. Now, to the viewers, someone wanted to know the UFL, XFL, and the fact that they've survived. I'm not really following that closely, not like I used to, but has it been a threat for talent? What are the football guys saying to you about getting guys up here to play with them being competition?
There's been a little bit of chatter, Rod, but candidly, not a lot. Not a lot. We're watching them, but we're not preoccupied by any stretch. And one of the things that I've been impressed by with this group of governors, which as I think you and I would agree, the league has never seen stronger owners than the group we have in place today. Yeah. It's literally quite remarkable. But they are very focused on our business. They're very focused on our future. There's so many things going on around the world of football. The UFL, and that they're just wrapping up their season. But there's the changes in college football. The NIL and how that's going to affect college football going forward. We're watching that. We're very preoccupied with the development of our own talent, and how do we get more youth involved. And that's why when you hear from Amar that he's coaching his kids football, and we've got that direct, strong connection into the amateur football communities. Those things matter to us as much or more than all the rest of it.
What's funny, with all the time that I've spent in Florida, I got to be really good friends with high school and college coaches, and every day they want to quit. Like, I'm done dealing with kids and transfer portal and it's just flipped the game on its ear. And that's got a big effect on the CFL. It has to, right?
Well, it'll be curious, Rod, for those who are, very, those that are students of the game and students of the ecosystem itself. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, because it is changing. Somebody told me, and I don't know if this is true, by the way, so don't quote me, but somebody said that the number of dollars that Ohio State is going to pay this year for players is $25 million. I don't know if that's true, but when I heard it, I went, wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
that's
easily.
A big...
Easily.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Because I'm in the high school locker rooms and the kids are talking about so-and-so's got this offer from this school for X amount of $3 million, and it's not even a big school. Like, look at Curtis Rourke. He was your #1 prospect for the draft this year, but's decided to go to Indiana for millions. That affects your league. And I don't think the fans know that.
Yeah. And again, Rod, it's early days. So, we're watching, talking about it. And now, look, again, what you got to do is go back to where are we? One of the things I think we've done really well in the last several years, it was to come an understanding of what was our value proposition. There's reason to watch, reason to care. And the reason to watch is that our game is fun, fast, and entertaining. And it is absolutely. And if you look at what Steve Daniel has done for us with his game quality index, we can see based on the numbers that our product has been very impressive. And then reason to care is our connection to the community. Those are that gives you a foundation on which to base your own future. And all the other things that go on around us certainly are there. But if you focus on your own business and your own value, ultimately, I think we're going to be very successful.
Focus on the good things, and that's what I'm doing. We're running out of time, but Vintage Sasko writes, then he says, solid show. Can you ask the commissioner, neutral site games have been a success. They're refreshing. I love it. Any other places beyond Victoria, Windsor, London, Quebec City, Saskatoon? Anything you can divulge?
Yeah, we have had, interestingly enough, we have had some cities reaching out to us asking if they can have a turn at a neutral site game. So, what we're doing now, shout out to my great colleague, David Goldstein, and David's been kind of the playing point on that, taking those inbound calls and then putting those, explaining what process we would have to go through. The touchdown platform can be a very big opportunity because it gives us a chance to share our game with other markets and build that fan base. So yeah, that's look, we are thrilled to be going to Victoria this year. I think it's going to, well, in fact, they had a stadium designed, they sold it out. They added more seats, they sold it out. I think we could put many thousands more seats in there if we could, and it would sell out. No doubt that on the Labor Day weekend, the Saturday of the Labor Day weekend, Victoria is going to be the place to be because it's going to be such an impressive event. And then, of course, we go from Saturday, Victoria, to Sunday, at Mosaic with the Bombers Riders matchup. So it's going to be a great Labor Day weekend. And this is one of the things that Amar wanted. Amar wants the Lions in the Labor Day weekend. He wants to be part of that. Look, we the legendary Riders, Bombers, the Elks, I guess, Stampeders and Ticats against the Argos. But Amar wants in on that rivalry weekend, so it'll be fun.
They're the cousins that nobody talked to on Labor Day weekend. Yeah, they got to get together. We are over time, but my viewers would kill me. They're asking about the stats. What can you say about the stats? Are we ready to rock for this kickoff 2024?
Yeah, Rod, thank you. A lot of work got done this winter. We had the first game. We had a few software glitches. They got ironed out. We've now had 8 games in a row, and we had one Friday where we had all 4 games literally smashed together. The platform performed beautifully, and it has got a lot more horsepower than we've had in the past. So yeah, Rod, I think we're in good shape there. Look, there's going to be, in software world, there'll be little nits here and there, but the software is working exactly as we hoped it would, and now we get to start building the other parts of that and adding layers to that system, going forward. But yes, Rod, great question, and happy to report that we're feeling pretty good about it.
Good. It's not my world either, but I had to ask. It's very important to the fans and the league. All right, Randy, thanks. I'll see you down the road. I appreciate the time, man. Good luck with the season. Yeah, thanks, Rod. Best wishes. Take care. And Hall of Famer, too, going into the Mike Ditka's Gridiron Greats Hall of Fame. We'll be back with a sports update, viewer takeover. I hope we got it all for you. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, YouTube Live, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, yeah, this is fantastic. It has been a fantastic show. Overtime is brought to you by our friends at Overtime Shooting Lanes, Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Hi, Randy. Hi, Michelle. They got so many exciting things going on over there. Look for them at the festivals and so forth around Calgary. Overtime Hockey Lanes. Better yet, stop in and check them out at 28th Street Northeast. Summer camps for kids. Monthly memberships, which include unlimited lane time for $99 for the month. What? That's the key. You say you're a hockey town, Calgary. Go prove it at Overtime Hockey Lanes. I'll get to the sports update as much as I can, but it was fun. Mandy at Edmonton, this was her kind of show. She writes in and says, haha, Mr. Commissioner calls the Elks the Esks. Nice. I know, right? Well, he's alum of the Esks, so he's allowed. But that's the thing with Randy. When him and I get talking, it's like the wall comes down, and sometimes you forget, oh, wait. Bomber boy in Calgary writes in, and he says, yes, Rod, thanks for asking. I had to ask him the stats question, or you wouldn't respect me. All of you. I had to. And the thing is, Randy knows that I had to. And he was ready for the answer. Just so you know, we don't prep any of these interviews with anybody. The Velvet Frog writes in and he says, when is the CFL going to get on network TV? TSN is choking the life out of the CFL. Nobody I talk to knows anything about it. Not our or my problem. We're going to talk about what we want to talk about. BW in Edmonton says, great show, RP. And he says, I would like to see a neutral site CFL game in Kelowna. Monty in Saskatoon says, I love overtime so much. Thank you, Monty. I love that you love it so much. We did talk about our Stanley Cup stuff, and we could do that for 2 hours, obviously. It's funny, too. I was saying in my commentary today, I've said it on this show a couple times, I'm getting significant pressure to get back to Florida for the Stanley Cup Final. And I'm like, yo, stand down. Serena's handling it on her end. She's hosting the Cats and Bolts podcast this afternoon with Bill Lindsay, the franchise great, the face of the Panthers in South Florida. And he currently does the radio broadcast. She's got that. And we just won the award for the fastest growing podcast there in the state. We know what we're doing. And up here, I'm doing this show out of the heat and doing baseball tonight in the WCBL. The Miller Express are home to the Saskatoon Berries. We had our way with them last night, 5-4. Going to do it all over again at Ross Wells Park, 7:05. I hope this wind dies down by then. But if you know Sask, it usually dies in the evening. Weyburn at Regina, Medicine Hat at Lethbridge, Okotoks at Brooks, Sylvan Lake at Fort McMurray. In the Canadian Elite Basketball League, the Rattlers are at the Calgary Surge tonight. It's the first of a 5-game homestand for the Surge. Also, Winnipeg is at Brampton, Ottawa's at Montreal. Here's the I could have done 2 hours with Randy Ambrosi, and God knows I would have liked to. These are the challenges facing the CFL. new leagues. The CFL's made some mistakes, and y'all put it on Randy, and that's fine because that's his job, and that's why he gets paid so much, but it isn't all him. There's a lot of mistakes that have been made that they're trying to correct, that it's a tough time. It's a competitive market, same as us. And what we do in the show entertainment business, I'll say that's why it felt so good to win the award for the fastest growing podcast, because there is literally, the last stat I heard, 2 million of them on the continent. You know what we're doing here. Thank you, Bruce in Regina. Bruce Rogers. Miss seeing you, my man. I hope I see you this summer. He writes in and says, great show, Rod. Thank you. David in Winnipeg says, great show, Rod. I caught the tail end of the show after the Sea Bears game. I need to get to a game. Well, that's the thing. Their crowds are going up. They're lowering ticket prices finally in the CFL. And after all, it wasn't my idea that they had to do that. Jim Hobson said that. Hoppy said that. Their tickets are too expensive in the CFL. So I repeated that on the air. And I get that from the executives. And no, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Oh, yes, I don't know who. Silent 306 writes in and says, great show, Rod. Just to note that tonight is Rough Rider night at the Regina Red Sox game. There you go. Consider everybody told. Rider night at the Red Sox game tonight. Wear green. But hey, Dirty 30, thank you, Jim Young. Regarding would you rather win a championship or be in the Hall of Fame, it's an age-old question. But Jim Young, BC Lions great, Vikings alum too, writes in. He says, would I trade my Hall of Fame induction for a Grey Cup ring? I probably would. But it's been an honor to go into the Hall of Fame. Hall and Walls of Fame. There you go, everybody. The ring is the thing. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here.
How about that?
Who has more fun than us?